Last week, the U.S. Supreme Court hearing a case that could change the landscape for one of the country's most divisive issues, affirmative action. The case involves a student who claims she did not get into the University of Texas because lesser qualified minorities were given preference over her. Under current Supreme Court precedent, colleges and universities are allowed to consider race, but only as one of a host of factors.
I hope the court rules that a student's race and ethnicity should not be considered when applying to the University of Texas.
Now, a similar case was brought before the Supreme Court nearly a decade ago. Jennifer Gratz challenged the University of Michigan's point system of admissions, which gave extra points to minority applicants who were underrepresented in the student body, like African Americans and Hispanics, when they considered admission. Now, the Supreme Court ruled in Gratz's favor. She is live tonight in the Fox 4 studio to give us her perspective. Thank you for being here, first of all.
Thanks for having me.
And we want to let you just listen to the University of Texas president as he talks about why he thinks it's so important that this case go all the way to the Supreme Court. This is why the university is actually fighting to keep affirmative action as part of their admissions process.
We believe the educational benefits of diversity are so important that they're worth fighting for all the way to the United States Supreme Court.
What do you think about that statement, that it's so important that it's worth taking all the way to the Supreme Court? And we should remind people that the idea of affirmative action is because you're trying to help folks who've been historically discriminated against just have a level playing field with others.
Actually, the original idea of affirmative action was to guarantee that everyone is treated without regard to race. And I emphasize that, without regard. That was the exact phrase in President Kennedy's executive order. And that's what Abigail Fisher is fighting for today, that she be treated without regard to race. I think it's interesting that the president of the University of Texas, who appears to be a white man, stands up and says that he believes that he should be able to fight for quote-unquote diversity all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. He expects 18-year-olds to take a step back for the common good. Well, if he's serious, I think he should put his money where his mouth is. I think he should step down in favor of a woman or a minority taking his position. Surely there's a woman or a minority out there that would be qualified to be the president of the University of Texas, so he should step down and put his money where his mouth is.
Well, when we look at a history where some folks in America haven't had a fair shot for, we're talking a couple of hundred years here, what do you think the best way is to give everyone a shot, keeping in mind that you really can't just say, let's all play by these rules, because the rules have been different for so long for so many people?
I think that the best way is to quote Chief Justice John Roberts, and that's to stop discriminating, to stop using race as a factor. It's wrong to discriminate against people, whether it's for a good cause or not. Two wrongs don't make a right, and it's time that our country treat people based on their merit and their character, not their skin color.
You know, in this University of Texas case, we've had some Fortune 500 companies who've actually filed briefs saying we want affirmative action to stay in universities because we need to have a diverse workforce to compete competitively. You know, the business world isn't fair. We all know life isn't fair. Why should higher education be any different?
Well, I think that, especially in a public institution that we all pay tax dollars to, the government should not be allowed to discriminate against people. It's state-sponsored discrimination. And I'll add that it's not just businesses that filed briefs. President Obama filed a brief in support of the University of Texas's program, and I think that that's unfortunate. His daughters should not get a preference over the son or daughter of a police officer or a teacher because those people happen to be white. People should be judged based on their character and their merit, not their skin color.
Jennifer Gratz, thank you so much for joining us live here in the studio. We know you just wrote a column on CNN.com that has more of your position here. And of course, we'd love to hear from our viewers about this topic. You can let us know what you think when you go to fox4now.com or call us at 239-206-FOX4.